In 1832, the 16-year-old Prince Otto of Bavaria embarked on a journey from Munich to Athens. What sounds like the vacation trip of a European nobleman was in fact a journey to a new homeland and his own kingdom. Greece, which had only been able to gain its independence from the Ottoman Empire a few years earlier, awaited him, and he was to become king of all Greeks and lead the kingdom into a golden future. But how did it come about that the Greeks wanted a monarchical leader for their country, which is considered the cradle of democracy, and why did a Bavarian of all people become king of Greece? We look at all these questions in today's video. Have fun! The story begins in 1822, when the Greeks managed to fight for their independence from the Ottoman Empire after centuries of foreign rule. They were supported by the major European powers France, Great Britain, and Russia, who had long been a thorn in the side of the Ottoman Empire. In addition, a new enthusiasm for ancient Greece broke out in Europe. Many saw it as the cradle of Europe and the rebellious Greeks as the direct descendants of the Hellenes of antiquity. The new state of Greece was finally formally recognized internationally in 1830. However, Greece's first head of state, the independence fighter Ioannis Kapodistrias, was assassinated only a short time later, causing unrest throughout the country and creating a power vacuum. The European powers were therefore afraid of a reconquest by the Ottomans, which is why they intervened themselves. They wanted the fate of Greece to be controlled by someone from their own ranks and proposed to the Greek National Assembly that a European prince be elected king. And many Greeks at the time longed for a strong man who would bring calm to the chaos of the young state, which is why they accepted the offer. However, this was preceded by a great deal of lobbying by the Europeans and the promise of economic aid. It was now clear that Greece would be ruled by a European foreign ruler. The only open question was who should hold this office. However, as Great Britain, France, and Russia were also increasingly rivals, they could not agree on a candidate from their own ranks. So they decided to choose a nobleman from an independent, smaller dynasty that had no great power fantasies. And so the choice fell on the Kingdom of Bavaria, a thoroughly respectable royal house that posed no threat to the great powers. The Bavarian king had good relations with London, Paris, and St. Petersburg, and was also an avowed lover of Greek culture. King Ludwig even had Munich adorned with numerous neoclassical buildings to bring it closer to his dream of the Easter Athens. He also changed the name of the state of Bavaria, which was then written with an I, to Bavaria with a Y, as we still write it today. The Greek letter underlined his devotion to the Greeks. And so the Wittelsbach family was indeed chosen, and Ludwig immediately sent his 16-year-old son to Athens as the new king of Greece. The young Otto arrived in Athens in 1832 on the British frigate HMS Madagascar, where he was greeted by thousands of joyful Greeks. But he himself and his entourage were astonished, as Athens at the time did not correspond at all to his father's romantic ideas. Athens, like much of the rest of Greece, was completely destroyed and devastated. And the once mighty city of Athens had withered away to a small provincial town. But Otto wanted to change this and restore Greece to its former strength. And so his first political goal was to establish a functioning state based on the Bavarian model. He was not yet of age at the time, which is why a Bavarian Regency Council supported him and took over a large part of the affairs of government. However, the whole thing turned out to be more difficult than expected. The major European powers were very reluctant to grant loans, and the country was completely dependent on them for foreign policy. And when he finally came of age and governed himself, he did not appear to be the savior that many Greeks expected. He spent much of the money on prestige projects in Athens, including a huge palace where the Greek parliament meets today. It also quickly became clear that he would not tolerate the Greeks having a say. They were removed from all important offices, and he did not marry any Greeks but Amalie Maria, the Duchess of Oldenburg. Both refused to accept Orthodox Christianity, which is why the royal couple became increasingly unpopular with the population. The Greeks were now ruled by a Bavarian absolutist ruler instead of the Ottomans, which is why more and more uprisings began to form. One of these was brutally suppressed in 1843, but with the help of the Europeans, Otto was actually able to remain in office until 1862. Only then was there a mass uprising, which was also supported by the Greek military, and the Bavarian king was deposed. Otto and Amalie fled into exile to Bamberg, where they lived with a small Greek court until their deaths. They maintained Greek traditions there too, wearing Greek robes and speaking only in Greek from 6 p.m. onwards. Until his death, he saw himself as the king of the Greeks, even though he was always very unpopular with them.